Brought to you by Three Rivers Marine and Tackle, your Puget Sound Steelhead Pro Shop. By Iser Line, premium fishing line developed for the discriminating steelheader. And by Potski Bait, the Northwest's most trusted bait company.
732 Sports Radio 950, 102.9 FM and Comcast Sportsnet Northwest. If you're out in Woodinville, head over to Three Rivers Marine and Tackle for...
Yep.
Oh, I haven't heard this forever.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
When's the last time you guys heard this song?
1996.
This morning on the way down here.
About a week ago.
Head over to Three Rivers Marine and Tackle for a giant selection of Shimano rods and reels, including the brand new designed Salmon and Steelhead series. We call them the Salmon and Steelhead Pro Shop for a reason. Those guys in there are pros.
They are.
All right, guys, if you've been on the Wild Country website over the last month or two, this microphone drives me crazy.
Boo!
Yeah.
A nice
You
catch.
have seen one of the coolest graphics we've ever put up there.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne, remember this?
Oh, yeah.
It's two glasses side by side.
Caught my eye.
Oh, absolutely.
Black backdrop,
Yeah.
excellent lighting.
Really, really cool looking stuff.
All the eggs.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Single eggs.
Yeah.
Cured up in...
Shot glass.
Shot glasses. Was it fire brine? I don't remember exactly.
See the fire
Looks
brine
like
or Braxel
champagne
fire.
flute. Yeah.
I think
champagne
Ben
flute.
did those in fire brine, but we'll ask him.
I think you're probably right.
Oh, I know I'm right.
Calvin, you're right.
That's
You-
right.
You know your booze glasses?
Oh, I know my
Okay,
glasses,
all right.
baby. Plus, it's such an awesome picture. I made
It
a
is.
poster out of it.
Super. Did you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, super cool. Super cool. The
Yeah.
guy who was responsible for that, directly from Steelhead Alley, is Ben C. S-E-E. Ben C. Ben, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Good, guys. How are you?
Good.
Hey,
We're-
doing great.
We're doing good. Good work on the blogs. If you've followed along on the Potski Fire blog, you've seen some stuff that Ben has also great photos, good stuff.
Yep.
You do things differently back in your side of the country than we do out here, and we're kind of fascinated by this whole spawn sack, single egg thing that you've got going on. Let's talk first of all about that graphic that we're talking about, the photo that we're talking about. What did you do those eggs up in?
Okay, so you start off with the Potski Fire brine, and then I actually kind of kicked it up a little bit, and then I used a second stage cure, and that would have been a Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that second stage cure kind of made the eggs a little bit drier for me, and threw them in the shot glass, took some great photos, and gave them to Potski crew to show off a little bit.
So let's talk about your guys' process a little bit with, your single egg. So let's do it from start to fishing there with the fire brine. So you had all your eggs obviously scraped out into singles. I mean, just kind of walk us through how you went and used the Braxo Fire and the fire brine to cure your eggs.
Yeah, because you have to understand, Ben, that most of the guys out here have never tried this process. The whole single egg thing is just a totally foreign
It's a
beast.
myth.
Yeah.
A
Gotcha.
legend.
So typically, a lot of the guys here in the Northeast Ohio area, the single eggs that they try to get are king salmon eggs. They're a little bit larger, and they're a little bit easier to cure, and they're a little bit less messy. You got to understand that over here in the Northeast, a lot of people don't have a abundance of eggs. So in order for them to start off their season, they're not going to have steelhead eggs per se. So they might start off with a jig and maggot to get their first steelhead to start to cure up. So what we do is we'll go up to either New York or we'll go up into Canada and we'll get our king salmon eggs, and then we'll go ahead and bring them back home. And typically these eggs are loose. So when we get them home, we have them in Ziploc baggies. And the process that I've been using lately that's been working the best is with the Potski product line. I'll take the eggs and I'll drain off any liquid that's on them. And then I'll pour some Potski brine on top of them. And I've been playing around with the different curing times, from whether it's 8 hours all the way up into, I've been trying out some like 72-hour cures. That's about as far as I've taken it. And I've been noticing that the brine is probably one of the easiest brines that I've ever used, because it's a simple 1, 2, 3 step. There's no fuss, there's no muss. You put the eggs in a mason jar per se. You pour the brine over top of the eggs, and within a little bit of time, you'll see that the eggs have juiced out, and then the eggs have sucked up all of the rest of their own juice plus the Potski brine, and you have a nice egg. And then what I do is to kick it up a little bit. Like I said, is I take a color of choice from Potski's Fire, just to kind of if I'm using like a red egg, or maybe I'll use some pink Baraxifier, and then I'll throw that on there for a little bit, throw them into a Ziploc baggie, and out comes the perfect egg for Northeast Ohio.
So, Ben, you've actually taken your single eggs and let them soak in that fire brine for up to 72 hours, just experimenting, kind of see what it will do. Then that had to make kind of a nice, tough egg for you that when you tied it in your spawn sack was pretty durable, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So over here, I like to try to use a little bit more of a durable egg. I know that with the some of the fire cures, where you get like a hotter or a wetter egg, that it juices out a lot.
Right.
I don't really need that with when I'm using a spawn sack, because I'm typically catching fish pretty quick.
Sure.
And, within, let's say 10 to 20 drifts, I know if I'm either doing something wrong or if I'm in the wrong place. And, I'm always switching up. So I take enough spawn sacks with me, let's say that if I take 100 or 150, that I'm always typically switching. So I've always got a fresh egg sack on. So.
Right, and you make up different colors of eggs, but then you also tie those in different colors of spawn sack, which give you that contrasting color on multiple baits. Isn't that kind of how you guys do that?
Yeah. So we use some like spawn sack netting, and I think that there's been some examples of that or talk about that on the Potsky website.
Right.
So I had another question for you before we go any further with this. Why the second stage of the cure? Why did you decide to run the Baraxifier after you ran the fire brine?
Just to be different.
Multiple colors, change the color up a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just really just to be different. Try some different things. See if I could find a pattern that maybe works best for me, or something that's really hot out here.
Right.
I have plenty of people that call me and are having great success with just the brine.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
just to clarify something, in that 72 hours, are you curing those in room temperature, or are you refrigerating, or what are you doing?
Right. So with the brine, I'm always throwing them in the refrigerator.
On what part? On both parts?
Yeah, with both parts. Yeah, because it's such a longer period of time. You wouldn't want your eggs to actually sit out for 72 hours at room temperature.
Well, Ben, one extra thing that you're actually throwing on there as well when you throw it on a second curing of the Baraxifires, on the fire brine that Nick and I helped work on and developing that, we purposefully left out the krill. We pretty much have krill in all the other products, but we left the krill out of that because not all guys like to cure their herring or their alewives or their shrimp and stuff and use a cure base that has krill in it. So we left that out that guys could add later. So when you come back and double wash it with your Baraxifier, now you're actually also coating it with just a very light scent of the krill that's in the Baraxifier. So that's kind of giving you a 1-2 punch in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really been working well for me. The eggs have been holding up. And, over here in the Northeast, our streams are quite a bit different than out in the Northwest. So
right.
It seems to be working out great.
I don't know if you caught my recent blog on using the fire brine to cure eggs out here in the West Coast, and how we obviously fish a lot of roe and chunk our bait and just fish in an egg loop versus taking the time to tie a spawn sack. Now, when I went to Michigan last year and fished with a few of our pro staffers out there, Tim and then Mark and those guys, they actually took perfectly good skein. It was blasphemy, and they took a spoon and scraped the eggs off of the skin, only to go through the whole process and tie them into spawn bags. And I was like, man, this is a lot of extra work. Now, you had mentioned that you go up north, the king salmon that you're getting early in the season, to start making your spawn sack. Now, see, I get that. The eggs are loose. If you're going to fish bait, you got to go through the process. When you start catching your steelhead, are you getting whole skeins out of there? Are the eggs pretty loose and you still got to continue the spawn sack? Or do you actually scrape them out like the other guys do and tie your spawn sack?
That's a good question.
Right. So there's early season, obviously, which for us really kind of starts in October, and really actually runs all the way through the springtime. The eggs are still in the skein; they're pretty tight.
Right.
And steelheaders will, some steelheaders will actually scrape the skein. Other steelheaders will just cure the skein up, and then they will cut chunks of it off, and then go through the whole entire process of putting them in the spawn sacks anyway.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Nick's reaction. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you ever just fish a cut piece of chunk roe like we do out here on the West Coast? Or do you always put them in spawn sack, whether loose or tight?
Some people will. I will whenever the need is there. Most of the time, 90% of the time, I'm using spawn sacks out here.
I think it's interesting that like so much in Canada is done with spawn sacks, and you go over to Michigan and you got the center pins and the single action reels, and how everything is kind of
Ohio,
came down from there, from Canada. And I think that you guys do pretty cool stuff over there.
It works, man.
It works, and there's a lot of like really cool. Like the more I think about, like, man, spawn sacks would actually be like a really good deal. Like if you're gonna fish and you're fishing around a lot of like small smolts and stuff like that, just to keep everything tied up. I mean, you're going to get longer drifts. You're going to get more from your bait than, a regular cure bait. I just see the process that it takes to make those eggs, and it looks just
takes a little
boring,
long.
Man.
But the
but
benefit
I mean,
too,
like you said, the benefit, you don't have to bait up as much.
Especially when
you're
you're fishing clients, right?
Absolutely.
You're not going to go through near as much bait fishing
sense.
clients if we were to take the time and spawn sack. But
it's cool too because they're so much more durable, and you can make them just the exact size that you want compared to like when you're cutting baits. It's always kind of like sometimes you'll be having dudes dig into the box and you'll all of a sudden see the guy with like a big old king salmon bait on that you forgot to cut a little bit. At least you know that you got every single bait in there at like the same size and probably help with the drift a little bit too.
So Ben, you've had good success with that fire brine. You like that stuff, huh?
Yeah, that stuff is working out really good. And when you come home from a long day of fishing and you got a lot of eggs to deal with, using the brine it's been great.
Dude, that's the beauty of the brine is like it's fast to make eggs, and it's so easy. It doesn't really require a whole lot of thought. You just put your bait in, you just get it done, and
throw in the bag, you're done.
Throw in the bag, and like literally, I could take eggs from a fresh fish, and if I get done and I have the eggs by 4 or 5 o'clock at night, I can have those eggs like premier fishing by the next morning.
Yep. Absolutely.
And they're going to be it's just so easy, man.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a quick question for Ben.
Break time.
We'll break. Let's do this. Ben, can you hold on for a second?
Yes.
Hold on for a little bit. We got some more questions. Yeah, we'll keep it going. Ben C, go to steelheadalleyangler.com. That's the website, steelheadalleyangler.com. There's some videos there. There's some blogs there. Of course, he contributes to the Potsky Fire blog. Try that again. We'll continue Steelhead Nation when we come back right here on Sports Radio 950, 102.9 FM, and Comcast Sportsnet Northwest.
I bet you'll hear my whistle blowing when my train rolls in. It goes like dust in the wind.
Hey. Sports Radio KJR 850. Way down Tacoma. We got 850? Guys on 850 listen to us?
I don't know if we're on 850. I don't think we are.
Yeah, you can pick it up.
880.
You can hear it on
880.
Yeah.
KHHO.
I was trying to be cool, but I blew it.
Well, close
Darn
enough.
it.
5080.
Well, how about 950 AM and 102.9 FM?
That
We're
I do
on
believe
those
you.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do believe you.
Sports Radio. There's no better place in the whole Northwest, kids, to get outfitted for your fishing needs than where I work, Sportco Warehouse Sporting Goods in Fife and Outdoor Emporium in Seattle, right down next to Safeco Field. Start with checking out Sportco and Outdoor Emporium's gigantic, huge selection of Lure Jensen brand lures.
Massive.
Lure Jensen is well known for their salmon, steelhead, and trout lures, boys, including the quick fish with the new UV finishes. They don't stand a chance anymore. Stop in and ask any of our fishing staff, including me, that live and breathe the very sport they work in. We're more than just great sports stores, and we've got gift cards and membership saving cards for you available that can be used at both stores. Remember, we've got not only the best guaranteed pricing in the world, but the Northwest's largest selection of Lure Jensen's UV finished lures. Sportco, Warehouse Sporting Goods in Fife, or Outdoor Emporium, 1 block south of Safeco Field, home of your Seattle Mariners. Check us out on sportco.com.
Here's a question I have for you, Bill, is if guys have gift cards, can they use it on the online store too?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good point, Nick.
Yeah.
It's 7:49 here on this side of the country. On the other side of the country, we're still joined by Ben C. of Steelhead Alley. Go to steelheadalleyangler.com, and we didn't even ask him exactly which systems he's fishing on.
I've seen some pictures.
Yeah.
Interesting looking little streams.
Yeah.
Turbulent water.
Ben, what
Good stuff.
what rivers are you fishing on out there?
So the rivers actually in Ohio, there's a couple that are actually stocked. 99% of our fish that we actually catch are stocked fish. This morning I'll actually be stopping out at the Chagrin River.
Chagrin.
Which is all of our rivers out here are actually quite a bit smaller than what you guys are fishing out there. I heard a previous podcast you guys had, and you were talking about 6,000 cubic feet per second for flow, and that would be death for us to try to fish. So,
Right.
300 cubic feet per second is typically what we try to fish in that and below.
And you do quite a bit of float fishing, don't you? Bait under a float?
Yeah, that's what I do exclusively.
Right.
Float fishing with the center pin.
So tell me about the name Steelhead Alley. I want to know what the Steelhead Alley is and how this thing came about before we let you go.
What it is and how it came about.
If you know.
Well, Steelhead Alley it basically stretches from Michigan all the way up and through PA and New York.
It's just an alley of rivers.
It's really an alley of rivers, and they all dump into some of the Great Lakes, and those steelhead are stocked out towards the mouth, and they run up in the fall and the spring, and anglers are able to take advantage of the great fishery that we have in this area.
So me and Mr. Joel Shangle were talking about this morning, and I was wondering, like we said, a lot of these fish were brought from the Pacific Northwest. All these fish we see, they all got fins on them. They all look like native fish to us. Are these all hatchery-planted fish in all of the rivers over there? You said 99%. Was there a 1% of steelhead that actually lived in Michigan prior to being planted?
Well, when I say that 99%, there are some percentage of fish that are able to reproduce in our rivers and are able to stay there throughout the season. Our weather here gets pretty hot in the summer, and since the flows of our rivers in the summer go way down, I mean, they're going to less than 100 cubic feet per second. Below that, the fish would just get fried.
That's warm water, yeah.
The smolts can't survive.
Right.
So what they actually do is to assist with the reproduction is obviously stock them.
So how many fish over there, like a day, can you keep? Like for steelhead, do most guys turn them back? I mean, what kind of limits are over there for keeping fish?
So in Ohio, the limit is 2 fish per day.
Okay.
And in Pennsylvania, it'd be 3 fish per day.
Nice.
I'm a 90% catch and release guy. We're spoiled over here. If I get a 10-fish day, I consider that, a slow day.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking steelhead, Joel.
As Mr. Shangle would say, he'd say, shut the front door.
Shut the front door.
Shut the front door.
We were talking about this on the way down, about the proliferation of fish. I mean, there are so many fish in these streams. And Ben,
it's hard to believe.
It's crazy. Let's talk about the geography here. How far apart are all these streams you're talking about? You're saying, well, in Pennsylvania it's this many, in Ohio it's this many. I mean, you're talking within a pretty close geographic spread, correct?
Yeah. In Ohio, the streams that are stocked are Conneaut, Chagrin, Grand River, Rocky River, and Vermilion River. And the stretch of those, I mean, you can go from, let's say, like Cleveland, and you can go 5 miles to the west and see a river, and then you might have to go 15, 20 miles to the east to see another river. So you can kind of hop, skip, and jump around the rivers and find ones that are fishing the best that day and get into some fish.
You know what amazes me, Joel? Okay, real quick, is that usually when you make a copy of something, it's never as good as the original.
Right.
But they've taken fish from the Northwest and transported them over there and have developed this program, and they far out on most of their rivers, far out and exceed what we are still capable of doing here in the Northwest.
That's Ben C. at Steelhead Alley. Go to steelheadalleyangler.com. Ben, this is not the last you're going to hear from us, brother.
Absolutely.
Good information. Good talking to you.
Great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, Ben, have a good one.
Thank you.
You can't beat a 10 fish a day.
Before we get